First of all, smoking's bad. You shouldn't smoke. And alcohol is bad. You shouldn't drink alcohol. And as for drugs, well, drugs are bad. You shouldn't do drugs. Okay.
Schedule 1 is an early access title developed by one indie dev that released a couple weeks ago. So when I was browsing through the top selling games on Steam, imagine my shock when I saw it on top of games like Monster Hunter Wilds and The Last of Us Part 2. This piqued my interest immediately. With its $20 entry price, does this game offer more fun than said AAA games? And more importantly, does it match the hype? If I could sum up the Schedule 1 experience briefly, I'd say that it's like Stardew Valley, except the produce that you grow and sell here are Schedule 1 narcotics. Of course, there's a lot more here that makes Schedule 1 uniquely addictive. It starts off quite simple with an introduction where you learn the basics of growing, harvesting, and packaging reefer. You set up some deals in town and subsequently flee a police sting in your RV. Unfortunately, your uncle wasn't so lucky, but you make it to a new city, a land of opportunity and potential drug addicts. Your uncle runs you through the basics of getting set up in this new city, and oops, it looks like the cartel blew up your RV. You'll have to set up shop at the motel. The early game is quite a slow grind of growing flour and finding new clientele, but once you can afford the apartment, you really get to start scaling up your operation. Multiple grow beds, an upgraded packaging station, a mixing station to mix and test new strains to make even more money. I could see this game being quite tedious, as during the early game you have to do a lot of this stuff manually, pouring soil and water, sowing seeds, taking out the trash, and of course pushing your product. But as you scale up, you get access to more methods of automating your process. You can make new contacts by letting them try your product, and if they're friends with a dealer, eventually you can hire them to push your product for a small cut. Once I had a dealer, I could focus on producing better products and networking my empire, eventually making enough to buy a bungalow and hiring some workers to fully automate the trash cleaning and crop growth. All I had to do now was mix and package my product. Excited to say that I unlocked meth, which is a phrase that I never thought I would say, but here we are. And that's pretty much where I am in the game. It's a somewhat tedious, repetitive loop of labor and waiting for crops to grow, which is kind of why I compared it to Stardew Valley. But much like Stardew Valley, the deeper you get into it, the more mechanics you learn and master, and the more fun the game gets. Yes, it's an early access game with all the quirks that come with it. Jankiness and bugs are to be expected, along with subpar optimization for a game that looks like it could have been made in Roblox. But the gameplay is where Schedule 1 really shines. Much like the product you sell, this game is incredibly addictive. It sucks you into this loop of grinding and getting better gear to expand your operation in a way that feels incredibly satisfying. There's not a lot of games quite like Schedule 1, which is why I think gamers have taken a greater interest in this game. Drug Dealing Simulator 2 is the closest I can think of, and even that game seems drastically different. And yes, I did see the lawsuit that the creators of Drug Dealing Simulator launched against the developers of Schedule 1, and I think it's just absolutely ridiculous. They claim that Schedule 1 infringes on copyrighted gameplay elements along with other things, which to me doesn't really make any sense. How can they copyright the art of drug dealing? Who can copyright that, really? That's a profession as old as time itself. Both of these games borrow their gameplay from real life, so it just makes no sense to me. Also, Schedule 1 takes a much more lighthearted, goofy approach to producing and selling your product. Being able to mix your product with random items, causing incredibly weird side effects for your clientele is a perfect example of this. On the topic of clientele, this game is surprisingly dynamic. Each potential customer has their own preferred effects, which can increase or decrease the likelihood of them enjoying the free sample that you offer them. It really makes you feel like a drug dealer that has to cater to the needs of each person that you meet. On top of that, they have their own behaviors and activities that they engage in throughout the day. They don't just walk around aimlessly until you offer them their next fix. They will live their lives and text you whenever they need some more of that good shit. Depending on the product that you sell them, you can even get them straight up addicted, and their behavior will change to reflect that. Each character in the city feels unique, like there was actual thought put into their personalities, likes, and dislikes. Some characters will just straight up beat your ass or stab you if you piss them off. The city you get to build your empire in is also very well made. There's a lot of shortcuts and movement techs that can get you to your deals much faster. You can buy a skateboard and use that to cruise around until you can afford a car. Once you start making a lot of dough, you have to buy a business in order to launder it properly. That is just an incredible attention to detail there. The depth to this game really is surprising and just amazing. This game really makes you feel like Heisenberg. So for $20, is this game worth it? Absolutely. Yes, it is. I've already gotten a ton of hours in this game. Even with it having just launched into early access, there is a ton of progression available in how much you can scale your operation here. The fact that this game has a player count that exceeds Monster Hunter Wilds and Assassin's Creed Shadows really proves how a lot of gamers don't really care much about graphics. The gameplay is what really matters. And yeah, this game just really surprised me with how good it was, and it totally justifies its spot on the top sellers list. Let me know what you all think in the comments. If you play this game, what product are you pushing to your customers? Or in real life, I guess, if you partake in that. And yeah, that's all I have to say. See ya.